The applause in the University of Lagos auditorium was deafening as Dr. Chukwuemeka Okonkwo walked across the stage to receive his medical degree. Amara stood near the back, her burgundy lace dress carefully chosen for this moment, tears streaming down her face. 5 years, 5 years of sacrifice, of sending money from her boutique profits, of waiting for him to finish school so they could finally start their life together. She watched him shake hands with the Vice-Chancellor, watched the camera flashes illuminate his handsome face, watched him raise his certificate high. This was their victory, their moment. Then a woman in an expensive gold jewel and matching iro and booba rushed toward the stage, a toddler balanced on her hip. The little girl, no more than 2 years old, wore a tiny white dress with Daddy's Princess embroidered across the chest. "That's Dr. Okonkwo's wife and daughter," someone near her said cheerfully. "So beautiful, Abby. They've been married for 4 years now. She's a lawyer at Aluko and Oyebode."
Fair African Tales. Subscribe and turn on the bell for new stories.
72 hours. Earlier, Amara had been working late at her boutique on Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1, steaming a silk dress for a client's wedding when Chukwuemeka's call came through. "Baby, I have the best news." His voice was warm, familiar, the same voice that had whispered promises to her for 5 years. "I graduated top of my class. The ceremony is this Saturday at Unilag. I want you there, Amara. You made this possible." Her heart had soared. "Emeka, I'm so proud of you. I'll close the shop early on Friday and actually come Saturday morning instead. The ceremony starts at 10. I know how you like to take your time getting ready." He laughed, that easy laugh she loved. "Wear something beautiful. This is our day." Our day. She'd held on to those words as she'd rushed to Balogun Market the next morning, fighting through the chaos of fabric sellers and traders to find the perfect lace. She'd taken the material to her favourite tailor on Ogunlana Drive in Surulere, paid extra for rush service, got her hair done at a salon in Victoria Island. Now, standing in the auditorium, watching him kiss another woman, watching a child call him daddy, those words turned to poison in her veins. Her phone buzzed, a text from Chukwuemeka. "Where are you? I don't see you. Come to the reception hall, let me introduce you to some colleagues." Introduce her? To who? As what? Amara's hands trembled so violently she nearly dropped her phone. A woman beside her touched her arm. "Sister, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." She shook her head, unable to form words, and pushed through the crowd toward the exit. Outside, the Lagos humidity hit her like a wall, but she couldn't feel it. Couldn't feel anything but the screaming in her head. Her driver, Taiwo, stood by her car near the Freedom Square fountain. "Madam, wetin happen? You dey cry?" "Take me home," she whispered. "Please just take me home." During the 40-minute crawl through 3rd Mainland Bridge traffic, Amara's mind replayed 5 years in fragments. Meeting Chukwuemeka at a friend's birthday party in Ikeja when he was in his 2nd year of medical school. His confession that his father had died, that his family couldn't afford his tuition. Her offer to help meant as a loan, his promise to pay her back with interest. The way helping had turned to love, or what she'd thought was love. Long distance, he was in school in Lagos. She was building her business in Lekki, but they'd made it work. Weekend visits when he could get away. Endless WhatsApp calls late into the night. His explanations for why she couldn't visit him at his school hostel. "It's embarrassing, baby. The conditions are terrible. I don't want you to see me living like that." His excuses for why he couldn't introduce her to his family yet. Let me finish school first. Let me become somebody they can be proud of. Then I'll bring you home properly with the respect you deserve. Money. Always money. Tuition, books, accommodation, feeding allowance. She'd sent it all, watched her savings account dwindle, taken loans to keep her boutique running while supporting his dreams. And he'd been married, the whole time, married with a child. Back at her flat in Oniru Estate, Amara sat on her bedroom floor, still in her expensive lace dress, and screamed into a pillow until her throat was raw. Then her phone rang. Chukwuemeka. She stared at his name on the screen, watched it ring 4 times before it went to voicemail. Seconds later, a text. Amara, where did you go? I wanted you to meet everyone. Call me back. Her fingers moved before her brain engaged. She typed, Congratulations on your graduation. You have a beautiful family. 3 dots appeared immediately, disappeared, appeared again. Then, we need to talk, not over text. Can I come over tomorrow? Amara laughed, a horrible, broken sound. She didn't respond. Instead, she opened her banking app. 5 years of transactions stared back at her. She'd kept meticulous records, always had, a habit from running her business. Every transfer to Chukwuemeka, labelled and dated. N2.3 million. That's what she'd sent him over 5 years. 2,300,000 naira. She took screenshots of everything. The next morning, Amara woke to 63 missed calls and 47 text messages, all from Chukwuemeka. The messages ranged from confused, baby, talk to me, what's wrong, to irritated, this is childish, just answer your phone, to desperate, please, Amara, I can explain everything. She ignored them all and made coffee, her hands steadier than they'd been in 12 hours. Shock was giving way to something else, something colder. Her best friend, Ngozi, arrived at 9, carrying Iba and Egusi soup from the restaurant down the street. Taiwo called me last night, Ngozi said, setting the food on the kitchen counter. Said you came home crying after the graduation. What happened? Amara told her everything. Ngozi's face went through a journey of emotions, confusion, shock, rage, before settling on grim determination. That bastard, Ngozi said finally. That absolute bastard. She pulled out her phone. My cousin works at Aluko and Oyebode. Let me make some calls. What good will... Information is power, babe. Trust me. While Ngozi made her calls, Amara's phone rang again. This time it was a number she didn't recognize. Hello? Is this Amara Okafor? A woman's voice, educated, careful. Yes, who is this? My name is Chidinma Okonkwo. I believe you know my husband. The world stopped spinning. I'm sorry to call you like this, Chidinma continued when Amara remained silent. But I think we need to talk, face to face. Are you free today? 2 hours later, Cafe Neo, Lekki Phase Badis. Amara had chosen a public place, brought Ngozi as backup. They sat at a corner table with a view of the entrance, 2 cups of cappuccino growing cold between them. When Chidinma walked in, Amara recognized her immediately. The woman from the graduation, though now she wore a simple black dress and no jewelry. She was beautiful in an understated way, her natural hair pulled back in a low bun, no makeup except lipstick. She sat down across from Amara without preamble. Thank you for meeting me. How did you get my number? Amara asked. I went through Emeka's phone last night after we got home. Your messages were illuminating. Chidinma's voice was steady, but her eyes were red-rimmed. 2.3 million naira over 5 years. That's a lot of money for a friend from church to lend someone. So that's what he'd told her. A friend from church. When did you get married? Amara asked. January 2020. Our daughter Kamsi was born that November. Chidinma pulled out her phone and showed Amara a photo. The little girl was adorable, all chunky cheeks and curious eyes. Emeka and I met in our first year at Unilag. We were friends for 3 years before we started dating. The timeline clicked into place in Amara's head. She'd met Chukwuemeka in late 2019. By then, he was already with Chidinma, already planning a future with her. Did you know about me? Amara asked quietly. Not until last night. I knew he was getting help with school fees from somewhere, but he said it was a loan from a microfinance bank. He showed me fake documents and everything. Chidinma's jaw tightened. I'm a lawyer specializing in fraud cases, and my own husband played me like this. Ngozi leaned forward. What are you going to do? That depends on what Amara wants. Chidinma looked at her directly. I've been married to this man for 4 years. We have a daughter together. My family paid a substantial bride price. But he defrauded you, lied to both of us, and I won't just let this go. What are my options? Amara asked. Chidinma pulled a folder from her bag. Legally, you have a case for fraud, Section 419 of the Criminal Code, obtaining money by false pretenses. The messages, the bank transfers, they're all evidence. But prosecuting him would destroy his medical career before it even starts. He wouldn't be able to practice. And that's supposed to make me feel sorry for him? No, but it might make you feel sorry for Kamsi, who didn't ask for any of this. Chidinma's voice cracked slightly. I'm not defending him. I'm just laying out the reality. Amara stared at her coffee cup. The woman sitting across from her was supposed to be her enemy, but instead she just looked tired and betrayed, a mirror of Amara's own pain. There's another option, Chidinma continued. A civil case. Sue him for repayment with interest. It won't land him in jail, but it will ensure you get your money back. Every kobo. How? Amara asked. He just graduated. He doesn't have that kind of money. No, but I do. Chidinma straightened her shoulders. My family is comfortable. I didn't need Emeka to be rich. I just needed him to be honest. He wasn't. So I'll liquidate some assets, pay you back myself, and then he and I will have our own reckoning. You do that? Sister, he made a fool of both of us, and I'm many things, but I'm not a fool. Chidinma's eyes flashed with something sharp and dangerous. Besides, once I divorce him and file for full custody of Kamsi, he'll need to keep his medical license to pay child support. Call it enlightened self-interest. Amara felt Ngozi's hand squeeze hers under the table. I need time to think, Amara said finally. Of course, but while you're thinking... Chidinma slid a business card across the table. That's my office number, and if you decide you want to press criminal charges, I know prosecutors at the Ministry of Justice. Whatever you choose, I'll support it. After Chidinma left, Ngozi let out a low whistle. That woman is cold-blooded. I respect it. She's hurt, Amara said quietly. Same as me. What are you going to do? Amara looked at the business card, then at her phone, where messages from Chukwuemeka were still coming through. The latest one read, Amara, please, I love you. Let me explain. Love. The word felt meaningless now. 48 hours later. Chukwuemeka showed up at Amara's boutique on Monday morning, pushing past her sales girl, Blessing, before anyone could stop him. Amara, baby, please, get out. She didn't look up from the inventory spreadsheet on her laptop. Just let me explain. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. Explain what? She finally met his eyes. Explain how you've been married for 4 years while telling me you loved me. Explain how you have a daughter while making plans for our future. Explain how you took my money I needed for my business, while you had a wife with a 6-figure salary. It's complicated. Then uncomplicate it. Right now. Explain it to me in a way that makes sense. He ran his hands over his face. He looked exhausted, his usually neat appearance dishevelled. I met Chidinma first. We were together in school, and yes, I married her. But my family arranged it, pressured me. Her father is well connected. He helped with my school fees too. So you married her for money and scammed me for more. No, I mean yes, but... He stepped closer. What I feel for you is real, Amara. What we have is real. With Chidinma, it's practical, a partnership. But you're who I actually love. Amara stood up slowly. Do you hear yourself? You're a father, Emeka. You have a 2-year-old daughter who calls you daddy. Are you going to tell me she's just practical too? That's not fair. Fair? Her voice rose. You took 2.3 million naira from me. I have the bank records. Every transfer, every message where you begged for money, where you promised to pay me back, where you said we'd build a life together. His expression changed, fear flickering across his face. You wouldn't take this to the police. Why not? Because it would ruin you, destroy your career. Maybe you should have thought about that before you committed fraud. Amara, be reasonable. Get out of my shop, now, before I call security. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was trusting you. She pulled out her phone. You have 30 seconds before I start screaming, and trust me, every trader on this street will come running. Then I'll file a report at Morocco police station. Your choice. He stared at her for a long moment, his face cycling through anger, desperation, and finally defeat. Then he turned and walked out. Amara sat back down, her entire body shaking. Blessing rushed over. Madame, you day okay? Lock the door, Amara said. I'm closing early today. 1 week later. The lawyer's office in Ikoyi was all glass and polished wood, the kind of place that charged by the minute just for breathing their air. Amara sat beside Chidinma on one side of a massive conference table. Across from them, Chukwuemeka sat with his own lawyer, a nervous-looking man who kept adjusting his tie. The mediator, a stern woman in her 60s, laid out the terms. Dr. Okonkwo, you have 2 options. Option 1, Mrs. Amara Okafor presses criminal charges for fraud under Section 419 of the Criminal Code. If convicted, you face up to 3 years imprisonment and will be unable to practice medicine in Nigeria. Chukwuemeka's face went ashen. Option 2. You agree to repay the full amount of 2.3 million naira plus interest calculated at the current bank rate over 5 years, totaling 3.1 million naira. Payment plan to be completed within 18 months, secured against your future salary from wherever you gain employment. I don't have that kind of money, Chukwuemeka said. Your wife does, the mediator said dryly. According to Mrs. Chidinma Okonkwo's financial disclosure, she's willing to make a one-time payment of the full amount on your behalf, which you will then owe to her as a personal debt. Chidinma's face was carved from stone. She hadn't looked at her husband once since entering the room. And if I refuse both options? Chukwuemeka asked. Then we go to trial, Mrs. Okafor presents her evidence, and you almost certainly go to prison. The mediator slid a document across the table. I've seen the bank records, the text messages, the emails. You don't have a defense. His lawyer whispered something in his ear. Chukwuemeka closed his eyes. "I'll sign," he said finally. "Option 2. The papers were drawn up, signed, notarized. Within 30 minutes, Amara's bank account showed a deposit of N3.1 million. She stared at the number on her phone screen, feeling nothing. The money didn't fix what was broken. As they left the building, Chidinma touched Amara's arm. "I filed for divorce this morning. Kamsi and I are moving back to my family compound in Enugu next month." "I'm sorry," Amara said, and meant it. "Don't be. You didn't destroy my marriage. He did." Chidinma's smile was bitter. "At least now I know who I married. Better to find out now than 20 years from now." They stood together on the sidewalk, two women who'd been played by the same man, united in their betrayal. Then Chidinma got into her car and drove away. Amara stood there for a long moment, watching Lagos traffic flow past. Okadas weaving between cars, Danfo buses blaring their horns, street vendors calling out their wares. The city moved forward, indifferent to private heartbreaks. Her phone buzzed. A message from Chukwuemeka. "I really did love you." She deleted it without responding and blocked his number. 6 months later. Amara's boutique had expanded. She'd used part of the money to pay off her business loans and the rest to invest in new inventory. Now she had 3 sales girls, a growing client base, and a waiting list for her custom designs. She was in the middle of a fitting when Ngozi called. "Girl, you need to see this." Ngozi's voice was tight with something, anger, satisfaction. "Check Instagram. Someone created a page exposing him." Amara pulled out her phone and searched. The account was called Lagos Scammers Exposed. The most recent post was a photo of Chukwuemeka in his graduation gown, alongside screenshots of his messages to Amara, bank transfers with account details blurred, and a detailed timeline of his deception. The caption read, "Dr. Chukwuemeka Okonkwo, married man who scammed his girlfriend out of N2.3M while she paid his medical school fees. Currently working at Reddington Hospital, Lekki. Be careful who you trust. Ladies, verify before you invest." Lagos Scammer 419 exposed in Lagos. The post had 47,000 likes and 3,200 comments. Amara scrolled through them. "This is why I don't help any man financially, Kai. Reddington should fire him immediately. My sister went through the same thing. These men are heartless. Someone tag Instablog and Gossip Mill. Let them pick this up." Amara's hands trembled. She hadn't posted this, wouldn't have posted this, despite everything. It felt too public, too vengeful. She called Chidinma. "Did you see? I saw and no, it wasn't me." Chidinma sounded tired. "Though I have my suspicions. Several of my colleagues from the law firm follow that account. Word got around." "Should I report it? Get it taken down?" "Why? Everything on there is true. He destroyed both our lives. Now his reputation gets destroyed. Call it karma." But Amara couldn't shake the feeling of unease. This wasn't justice. This was mob mentality. Even after everything, she didn't want to be part of destroying him completely. She called the hospital where Chukwuemeka worked. A receptionist put her through to HR. "I'm calling about your employee, Dr. Okonkwo," Amara said. "There's a social media post making accusations, and I want to clarify—" "We're aware of the post," the HR manager interrupted. "Dr. Okonkwo has been placed on administrative leave while we investigate. If you have information relevant to his employment, you can email it to our compliance department." After she hung up, Amara sat in her boutique's back office, staring at her phone. The Instagram post was still there, being shared across platforms, going viral. Chukwuemeka's face was everywhere, attached to words like scammer, 419, fraudster. Part of her, the part that had cried herself to sleep for weeks, felt vindicated. But another part, smaller but insistent, felt hollow. This public shaming wasn't healing. It was just more pain, spreading outward like ripples in water. She thought about sending him a message, warning him about the post. Then she remembered his daughter, Kamsi, who would one day be old enough to search her father's name online and find this. In the end, she did nothing. Just closed Instagram, put her phone away, and went back to work. Some stories didn't have satisfying endings. Some wounds didn't heal cleanly. You just learned to live with the scars. 3 months after that. The knock on Amara's boutique door came just as she was closing up for the night. She'd learned to be cautious, always check the peephole before opening. A woman stood outside holding a baby, not a toddler, a baby, maybe 4 months old. Amara opened the door. "We're closed, sorry." "Are you Amara Okafor?" the woman asked. She was young, couldn't be more than 23, with tribal marks on her cheeks and exhaustion in her eyes. "Yes, who are you?" "My name is Folake. I need to talk to you about Chukwuemeka Okonkwo." Amara's stomach dropped. Please, just 5 minutes." The baby started crying, and Folake bounced it automatically. "He did to me what he did to you, except I was stupid enough to get pregnant." Against her better judgment, Amara let her in. Folake's story spilled out in pieces. She'd met Chukwuemeka 2 years ago at a medical outreach program in Aja. He'd told her he was single, focused on his career. They'd dated for 6 months before she got pregnant. When she told him, he gave her money for an abortion and disappeared. "I couldn't go through with it," Folake said, tears streaming down her face. "So I had my baby, found out later he was married, then found out about you from that Instagram post. How many of us are there?" Amara felt sick. "I don't know. He won't answer my calls, won't help with the baby. I can't afford diapers, formula, nothing. My family disowned me when I refused to marry the man they chose." Folake looked at Amara with desperate eyes. "I know you sued him. I know you got your money back. Can you help me do the same?" "Folake, Amara stopped. The girl was holding a baby, Chukwuemeka's son, born into this mess through no fault of his own. "Let me make some calls." She texted Chidinma, "We have a situation." Chidinma called back immediately. When Amara explained, there was a long silence. "Jesus Christ," Chidinma finally said. "How many women did he do this to?" "I don't know, but we need to find out." They put Folake in touch with Legal Aid Council for paternity and child support proceedings. Chidinma, despite being in Enugu, connected Folake with resources for single mothers and helped her apply for government assistance programs. 2 weeks later, another woman reached out, then another, then 2 more. All with similar stories. Chukwuemeka presenting himself as single, as struggling, as worthy of their help. All of them had given him money. Not millions like Amara, but thousands here, hundreds there. Rent money, feeding money, transport money, small amounts that added up. None of them had known about the others. None had known about his wife and daughter. Amara created a private WhatsApp group for the women. There were 8 of them in total, spanning 5 years. As their stories overlapped and intersected, a portrait emerged of a man who was methodical in his deception, who targeted women strategically based on what he could get from them. The anger that Amara thought had faded came roaring back, but this time it was colder, more focused. This wasn't about heartbreak anymore, this was about predation. "We need to go to the police properly," Chidinma said during a conference call with the women. "Not just me and Amara, but all of us. Present a unified case." "But you already settled with him," one of the women, Precious, pointed out. "Can you reopen it?" "The civil case is settled, but this is bigger now. This is pattern behavior, systematic fraud across multiple victims. That's different." They filed a joint complaint at the gender unit of the Nigerian police in Panti Yaba. The investigating officer, a woman named Inspector Adeyemi, listened to each story with growing disgust. "This one a proper 419, she said bluntly. "And the fact say him be doctor makes it worse. People for trust am with their health, but him they do this kind thing." The investigation took 6 weeks. Inspector Adeyemi was thorough, pulling bank records, phone records, interviewing witnesses. She discovered 3 more women who'd been too embarrassed to come forward. 11 women, 11 lives disrupted. A conservative estimate of N8 million stolen over 6 years. The trial, 9 months later. The courtroom in Igbosere was packed. Word had gotten out about the case. Social media had exploded again, this time with mainstream news outlets picking up the story. "Medical doctor accused of defrauding multiple women," ran headlines across blogs and newspapers. Amara sat in the front row with the other victims. Chidinma sat further back, Kamsi with her family in Enugu for the duration of the trial. She'd flown in specifically to testify. Chukwuemeka sat at the defendant's table, thinner than Amara remembered, his face gaunt. He'd lost his job at Reddington Hospital. Lost his license to practice medicine pending the trial's outcome. His family had disowned him, unable to bear the shame. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Mrs. Adebayo, presented the case methodically. Bank records, text messages, testimony from each victim. The evidence was overwhelming. Chukwuemeka's lawyer tried to argue that these were gifts, not loans, that the relationships had been consensual, that his client had never intended fraud. But then Mrs. Adebayo presented the messages, hundreds of them, showing the same pattern repeated across different women. The same lies about struggling financially, the same promises of repayment, the same declarations of love and commitment. "Your Honour," Mrs. Adebayo said, her voice carrying across the courtroom, "this was not a case of romantic relationships gone wrong. This was systematic, premeditated fraud. The defendant identified vulnerable women, gained their trust and affection, and exploited that trust for financial gain. He is a predator in a doctor's coat." The defense called character witnesses, professors from medical school, colleagues who swore Chukwuemeka was brilliant, dedicated, ethical. But then Chidinma took the stand. She'd divorced him 6 months earlier and had no legal obligation to testify, but she did anyway. "I married him thinking he was honest," she said, her voice steady. "I defended him to my family when questions arose. I convinced myself that the small lies didn't matter because the big picture was good." She looked directly at Chukwuemeka. But there was no big picture, just more lies, deeper and deeper, until they destroyed everything. "Mrs. Okonkwo, my apologies. Mr. Nwosu," the prosecutor corrected herself, using Chidinma's maiden name. "What do you want the court to know?" "That he's brilliant at making you believe him. That's his real skill, not medicine. He looks you in the eye and lies with such conviction that you doubt your own reality." Chidinma's composure cracked slightly. "And I want these women to know that it wasn't their fault. We all believed him because he's very, very good at what he does." The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, took 3 days to deliberate. When she returned with her verdict, the courtroom was silent. Chukwuemeka Okonkwo, this court finds you guilty of 11 counts of obtaining money by false pretenses under Section 419 of the Criminal Code. The evidence presented demonstrates a clear pattern of deception spanning multiple years and multiple victims. She paused, looking at him over her glasses. You were given gifts, intelligence, education, opportunities. You could have been a healer. Instead, you chose to be a thief. You stole not just money, but trust, hope, and dignity from women who cared for you. The sentence was 5 years imprisonment, with restitution to be paid to each victim in installments once he was released. As they led him away, Chukwuemeka looked back at the courtroom. His eyes found Amara's for just a moment. She couldn't read his expression, regret, defiance, emptiness. She looked away first. 18 months later, Amara stood in her new boutique in Victoria Island, larger than the last one, with floor-to-ceiling windows that let in floods of light. Her designs were featured in This Day Style last month. She had 12 employees now, a waiting list that stretched 3 months. Her phone rang. Chidinma. Have you seen the news? What news? Check Twitter. He's being released early for good behavior. Amara's stomach tightened, but it was different from before. Not fear, just awareness. Like seeing a storm cloud on the horizon and knowing you had shelter. How are you? Amara asked. I'm okay, really okay actually. I got engaged last month. Chidinma, that's wonderful. His name is Adebayo. He's a professor at UNN, kind, honest, boring in all the best ways. Chidinma laughed. Kamsi loves him. That's how I knew he was good. They talked for a few more minutes before hanging up. Amara stood at her boutique window, watching Lagos do what Lagos does. Moving, building, destroying, rebuilding, moving again. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Amara, this is Emeka. I'm out. I need to apologize to you properly. Can we meet? She read it twice, then deleted it without responding. Some stories don't need epilogues. Some chapters end, and you just turn the page and keep reading. Amara picked up her sketches for next season's collection and got back to work. Outside, Lagos hummed with life, chaotic, beautiful, indifferent, endless. And somewhere in all that chaos, she'd built something real. Something that was entirely hers. Something no one could take away. If this story touched you, drop a comment below, like this video, share it with someone, and hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story from Fair African Tales.